What's going on, YouTube? So the Lincoln Nautilus made quite the splash when it came out last year, quickly becoming the brand's bestseller.
And to continue that momentum, Lincoln is adding even more for 2025.
So, has the Lexus RX met its match with this high-tech rival? Well, we spent the last week with it to find out. Alright, so let's go ahead and start things off under the hood with our spec dump. So you've got two different powertrain choices. We have the hybrid version today, which is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine with electric componentry, adding to a total system power of 310 horsepower. That's going to be paired to an eCVT, and your combined fuel economy is 30 mpg.
Now, the base price for the Nautilus is $51,000, and if you're looking to buy a Lincoln Nautilus or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, this is also a 7-day review. We've lived with this vehicle, so we'll be talking about our real-world fuel economy. We'll be getting our official Kentucky Sound level reading, and at the end, we're going to tell you if we like this vehicle better, the same, or worse after living with it this week.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because I think we've got a really nice looking spec to show you on the outside as well as the inside. Now, like I was saying, I think this is a really nice looking spec in terms of the options Lincoln selected for this tester they gave us. And you can see that it has, of course, the latest and greatest Lincoln design. This one looks maybe a little bit sportier than average, but also still very clean and sophisticated. So normally you are going to have, of course, a little bit of a shinier finish to your grille. However, we have the Jet Appearance package, which plays an important part because it blacks out this grille completely. It's also going to add dark accents all throughout the rest of the exterior of the vehicle, again giving it a little bit of a sporty flair and really pops nicely against the sharp red paint. Now, in terms of the lighting, that's another thing that really draws your attention. Obviously, you are going to have full LED headlights. They are adaptive as well. But the cool thing about it is if you choose the reserve trim or above, you're going to get this large light bar that goes all the way across the front. You also have an illuminated logo as well. And we're going to have an upcoming night review on this model, which is going to give you the full picture of it, but you won't want to miss that because it's going to be very, very cool. And then as far as the back is concerned, it really continues with that sleek and classy design approach.
Yeah, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And let's go ahead and break down some of those individual design touches. We have a spoiler up top, an integrated wiper that's hidden underneath. And as far as our taillights are concerned, it's going to be a full-length setup. It's a really premium-looking taillight. And as you can see, Drew cycling through the taillight itself, we do have an LED brake light, LED turn signal with the dynamic ability, and we have an LED reverse light, which is integrated right there. I also want to point out there's some very subtle Lincoln branding. You can't really see it just standing next to the vehicle, but it is underneath of here. And then down at the very bottom, all of this is going to be a body color. You don't have exhaust outlets, but you can tow about 1,750 pounds if you select the tow package.
Now, moving on to the wheels, you've got a series of different selections you can pick from. We have stunning optional 22-inch alloy wheels. These come with that Jet Appearance package. And guys, these look fantastic. They look so nice, and you'll want to stick around and see if that impacts the ride quality, of course, later on. But you're also going to get the gloss black finish that goes around the wheel arches as well as through here with Nautilus branding. That will continue further up here to our mirrors, which are fully loaded with all the goodies, including driver's side auto dimming, power folding, blind spot monitoring, and heating. And then one fun fact I want to mention before going any further in this review is that this is one of a very small handful of vehicles available for sale in the US that's actually assembled in China.
Now at the side, we have an overall vehicle length of 193.2 inches. And as far as some really cool design elements, there are a couple of them. First of all, your door handles are going to kind of be integrated into the window surround itself. I think that's really quite nice looking. And we also have a two-tone roof here on the reserve trims and above. It really looks very nice in contrast with the red. Now, in terms of your safety systems, Lincoln is going to give you every single one of those as standard equipment this year. That's even going to include things like Lincoln's Blue Cruise system, which is actually a hands-free highway assist function, and that has worked quite well this week. We've used it multiple times on multiple different highways, and it actually has done a much better job than previous Blue Cruises that we have tested out. And you get that free for 4 years here on the Nautilus. But guys, there is a really incredible cabin we can't wait to show you and our impressions of it. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, now let's move to the interior. First, as always, we'll take a quick look at the key fob. Typical Lincoln key fob here. Of course, you do have standard smart entry as well as remote start on the fob, and digital key is available. But getting inside the vehicle itself is actually, rather unique because inspired by the Continental, you've got these door handles that are hidden inside of the trim. You just have a little sensor back there. You can pinch that, and that will actually unlock and open up the door. When it comes time to close up the door and lock it, you have this little panel here with your numbers, and then you've got this little button here. You can press that, and that will lock the door. I do want to point out, though, that over the past week, we had a lot of trouble with that sensor actually working. Most of the time, I had to lock the car with the key fob itself. Now, look inside at this interior. So there's obviously a lot going on in terms of technology and in terms of luxury. But before we get into all the individual details, I want to just start off by talking about the seats. So here on our Reserve model, we do have a premium leather seat. This is the truffle color, and it's absolutely a beautiful seat. Super, super comfortable. I like the feel of the leather as well and all the elaborate stitching details. Also elaborate is the number of adjustments that we have. So we've got the available perfect position seats on this model, which means we have 24 ways of massaging, or power adjustment, and we have massaging. So just a really, really fantastic seating experience. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Got some really cool animations that play when you get inside. And let's talk about the interior materials just right off the bat here, because Mason and I were very, very impressed by this. I think this might be the best Lincoln interior we've ever experienced, or at least as nice as the Navigator. So coming over here and starting with the door trim, of course, you got a lot of the leather materials running all through here and across the top part. We've got a lot of beautiful metal speaker grills, absolutely enormous metal speaker grills that are solid metal. Up top, you have more of that leather that goes through the top part, a padded material through here, thin strip of wood trim, more leatherette. Coming down through here, all nice and solid, more wood, glass for our volume knob. Overall, the materials really are very, very nice, and everything feels super solid and well put together, including our metal push-button start. And now that it's all fired up, let's just jump right into the elephant of the interior, and that is, of course, the technology and the screen system. We won't keep you hanging. So this, guys, basically is like the screen of screens. We have 48 inches of curved screen that's going all across the entire dashboard. It's actually going to be made up of two separate 24-inch displays with this tiny little crease in between them, but really it looks like it's one seamless display, and it's going to give you a lot of information. So of course on this side is going to be your gauge cluster. One of the things you can do with this is actually put it into a calm mode, so if this amount of information kind of overwhelms you, you can really kind of black it out and simplify the overall display, or you can leave it in the default, which is going to have a lot of vivid graphics going through, map display there, and then off on this side, this one here has 3 customizable widgets, so you can actually just kind of go into the main display, change it to a few different kinds of information going on up there. None of it is particularly useful, but it is really cool to see, and I like how they all kind of engage and interact with each other. As far as the impression living with it, at first it is overwhelming, but you gradually start to get used to it because most of what you're looking at is focused right here, and those are just kind of some extra things that you can just occasionally glance at. Now, of course, with the position of the screen being where it's at, you do not have a head-up display. That's okay. Also, part of that system is the fact that we've got a very squared off steering wheel, so this kind of helps it not to block out your view to the display too much. although it will depend on your driving position. This is a very classic and futuristic steering wheel at the same time, because our buttons here are virtual. You find the correspondence up there in the screen itself, but this does harken back to the old school Lincolns. The wheel itself, power, tilt, and telescoping. Steering wheel heating is of course included, as well as rain sensing wipers. Now, let's take a look at interior storage. Opening up this console here, we're going to see some donuts inside. That's because here at Car Confections, we like to do the donut test and check the volume. Today we have 12 donuts inside. That's a pass for our donut test because that's a dozen. Up in front of that, you have another little slot here. Wireless phone, charging pad, 2 cup holders. All that, of course, can be hidden. And then, you almost can't see this really, but there's a giant pass-through, so you really have a ton of storage and places to stick things in addition to in the door. Of course, part of that is because our shifter is out of the way. It's a piano key design, so you're just going to press the D for drive, press the R for reverse. When you go into reverse, this takes a little bit of time to get used to, but actually your backup camera is in the upper screen, so you kind of look more out the windshield to see the backup camera, but it's pretty convenient. In terms of the resolution, fairly sharp. I like how large it is. You do have active trajectory and of course that 360 view. You can switch the views down here in the central display. Got your electronic parking brake located beside that, and a few more buttons all around the central volume knob. And that, though, is a big thing I want to talk about, the Revel Ultima 3D sound system. We have the highest in Revel. It's the 28 speaker version, and let's give it a sample right now. So the metal speaker grills might be stunning, but the audio quality is what's most important, and that is even more stunning. It really is a fantastic and very well-rounded sound system that is just terrific with a wide variety of music. Okay, so let's go above here and zero in on the driver's display. So this is the one that obviously is closer to you and you can actually touch it. It's 11.1 inches. This has the new Lincoln Digital experience, which is based on Android Auto. And there's a lot of things I want to talk about. First of all, I'm just going to talk about the climate controls. They're dual zone automatic. Nothing too complicated here. It is in the touchscreen exclusively though, so you don't have any physical buttons. The other thing that is more important than adjusting the temperature in our minds is the fact that you actually have to adjust the vent in the touchscreen. So there's no way you can grab a hold of these unless you aim them with this touchscreen. Not really a big fan of that. Obviously, they could have just had physical control here. Just makes it more complicated than it needs to be. That being said, we have 3-stage heated seats and ventilation and steering wheel heating. All that is standard equipment. And we also have a new feature for 2025 I want to show off as well. So with our highest in Reserve 3, we can press this button here called Rejuvenate. And if I press this, everything just goes into maximum relaxation. So first of all, look at this gorgeous picture we have of just a waterfall that goes across all 48 inches and even continues down closer here in our main display. Now I'm getting a massage. My seats are being heated to the maximum degree. Just super, super relaxing. And, it smells delicious in here because we have actual built-in scent inside of the vehicle, and those are going to blow through the climate system to make it smell even like a forest. So overall, this is a really interesting and cool thing, but as we said, if you have road rage, maybe you need to pull over, press that button there. It's going to take care of everything. Now, in all seriousness here, in terms of the actual infotainment system, this works super well. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both wireless. They pair instantly. All the Google apps are built into the system as well, including Google Maps. Now the mirror is going to be auto dimming, but not a camera style. You have your home link remotes located right there. And up top, we've got the large panoramic sunroof. This is included with the Reserve 3 model.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and check out the rear seat area of this Nautilus. Now, I have to say I've been very impressed with this throughout the week because it has a lot more space than some of those other rivals you could be looking at, such as the Lexus RX. That one's a little bit more tight here in the back, and here in the Nautilus, boy, it is very big. Now, as far as the legroom figures, 43.1 inches of legroom and about 39 inches of headroom. That means for someone who is 5'9" like myself, you have tons of room. And as a matter of fact, we don't have to sit here and guess. We have the official Car Confections ruler to see how much knee space we have from Drew's 5'8" driving position. We're sitting at 10 inches of additional knee room. That is really fantastic. Also, my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seats, and these seats do slide forward and back a very good distance, so that would make it really easy if you have a child seat. And they also do recline a good distance as well. Now, as far as in the center area, we do have a nice fold-down armrest. We have pop-out cup holders, which are good for holding the Stanley water bottle. Barely fits in there. And then as far as features here in the center, we do not have our own climate control, so that's one thing worth noting. However, if you choose a reserve or black label, you're going to get the heated back seats. No ventilated back seats are offered. And then our vents are adjusted down here. They actually just have a traditional adjustment, which I honestly prefer a lot better than the front adjustment. Down below that, we have a household style outlet. Additionally, we're going to have USBs that are going to be integrated into the back of the seat back, 2 on each seat back. And then if you look over at the door trim, we're going to have a really nicely done one, leather on the top part. We have a leather on the armrest portion, the same beautiful metal speaker grills going through the entire door, as well as quite a bit of door storage. And now let's go ahead and talk about the cargo area as well. We have a standard power tailgate. We also have the hands-free ability if you choose a top-end model like what we have today. And, it does work quite well. Now, let's also talk about the cargo space that you're going to find here in the Nautilus. We're going to find a really good amount of space. 36 cubic feet behind the second row seats. 71 cubic feet if we fold those seats down. Now, those are really good space figures, and there are easily buttons to just fold the seat from the cargo area. I definitely really like that. They fold 60-40 split. Now, if you're curious as to how this compares to other mid-size luxury SUVs in terms of cargo space, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. The reason you do that is because we have went through and ranked all the luxury mid-size SUVs, including this Nautilus, and you can see their strengths and weaknesses. So if cargo space is something that matters most to you, you can find the biggest cargo space, you can find the best technology, you can find the best drive experience, you name it, we've ranked it. So go ahead and do yourself a favor, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings, and you can see some of your best options depending on what matters most to you. Now, the cargo space is quite impressive for this segment, a lot better than Lexus RX, spoiler alert. And then as far as the cargo length, width, and height figures, that's something we measure in all of our Car Confections reviews. From behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we are looking at a very solid 76 inches of overall cargo length. From behind the second row seats, 37 inches. Overall width is going to be about 41 inches, so not as wide as you might expect. And then height is also pretty good, a little over 29 inches of overall height. Underneath of the floor, there is a spare tire, and then you also have a 12-volt outlet right here. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Lincoln Nautilus. In this test drive, we'll be discussing what you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading, but first we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, that was 60 miles per hour. Now, like we talked about at the very beginning of the video, we have the available hybrid model. So there's 2 different choices that you can get. The hybrid is going to be the one that has more power. Obviously, it's going to get better fuel economy as well. It's a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with the electric hybrid componentry. 310 horsepower is what we have on board. That is 60 more horsepower than the conventional 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine.
Yeah, so that is going to be an extra cost option. It's $2,000 to get the hybrid, so that's going to be something you have to kind of weigh your pros and cons. Of course, it gets better fuel economy, and like Drew said, I think important for luxury buyers is that it gets 60 more horsepower overall. The standard model is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder as well, 250 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque. So we have actually not experienced that version of the Nautilus yet. We've been in hybrid versions both times. However, those are pretty good power figures overall. It's going to be pretty similar to what you get in an RX 350, for instance, on the base end.
Overall acceleration is pretty good. It's not, overwhelmingly fast. That's not the mission of this vehicle. I think the most important part is that this hybrid system is quiet. Yeah. Even when you hammer it down, you can just hear the engine slightly, but most of the time when you're driving normally, it's nearly silent. It's really, really refined. As you might be able to hear, this does come with a continuously variable transmission. With the hybrid model, the traditional gas model comes with an 8-speed automatic, so that's going to be up to your choice, but you do have standard all-wheel drive regardless.
Yeah. And now that we've just kind of pulled out on our designated highway portion, I need to talk about ride quality. So as we saw on the outside, we have massive 22-inch wheels here on this Reserve with the Jet Appearance package. And, honestly, looking at those wheels, I was like, uh-oh, does that mean we're going to have bad ride quality? Well, not at all. Honestly, I have been blown away by the ride quality on this Lincoln Nautilus. It is incredibly smooth. This is a vehicle that is designed to go head-to-head against the Lexus RX, which is one of the very best riding vehicles money can buy. And I think Lincoln has matched the RX, if not done it a little bit better, especially if you get a smaller wheel size. It is fantastic ride. When you hit a big bump in the road, it does a fantastic job of soaking things up. You'll see that demonstrated now as we go over a bridge. Really, the only time you feel any intrusion is if you hit a gigantic pothole. Then you kind of feel the wheel size just a little bit. But overall, fantastic suspension setup. They've definitely tuned it for luxury and comfort, to say the least. Now, we do have an adaptive suspension setup that is standard if you choose a Reserve trim level or above. So that will allow you to kind of adjust it a little bit. We've been just kind of cruising around a lot in the comfort modes this week. All right, but we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour. I have it on fan speed 1. I'm going to reluctantly turn my massage seat off. It feels really nice, but I will just go ahead and turn that off so we can get an official car confection sound level reading. I'm hypothesizing this is going to be a really, really quiet cabin. 55.2 decibels is what we have settled in at as our official car confection sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to other rivals. We can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now, indeed, that is going to place it as a pretty quiet option in this segment, although it does have very stiff competition. The segment leaders are the BMW X5, Genesis GV80. Those are going to be the quietest options. However, this is going to be pretty much in the middle of the segment. It's actually quite a bit quieter than the previous Nautilus that we tested out.
All right, now we're taking things out on the back roads here, and I just put it into the Excite drive mode. Now, we'll go around this corner here a little bit. Alright, let's talk about the driving dynamics. So, like we were mentioning earlier, it does have an adaptive suspension, so when you go into the Excite mode, it does kind of firm it up just a little bit, but regardless, this is not a sporty vehicle. Lincoln has really kept their eye on the mission of a Lincoln SUV, and that's really just having supreme comfort, and as such, they do not do anything that's going to compromise the ride quality. It is not a sporty vehicle. When you go around corners, you are going to have Pretty large amount of body roll. If you brake heavily, you'll feel that as well. Also, the steering is one of the lightest steering systems I have ever felt, period. You could turn this with your pinky finger, I'm pretty sure. It actually kind of feels like the steer-by-wire systems that Tesla uses, as well as Lexus has in development. It's that light. And the steering wheel itself being square, it's a little bit interesting to get used to over time, but once you kind of get used to the weight of it being super light and kind of grabbing it in a different area than normal, it's fine. But this whole vehicle really does take a little bit of time to get used to, that's for sure.
All right, let's mention our fuel economy. So I want to go ahead and give you the EPA numbers first. So the hybrid is rated at 30 miles per gallon combined. The gas model, 24 mpg combined, so a 6 mpg improvement for the hybrid model. It's not as good as something like an RX 350h though, so keep that in mind. As far as our real-world fuel economy, the beginning half of this week has been really cold. As you can see outside, it's like super snowy, very winter weathery. So that definitely affects your hybrid fuel economy performance. So that being said, we do want to give it just a little bit longer to get a full sample in. At least at the beginning part of this week, it certainly was underperforming that 30 mpg mark that we were hoping for. So that's something to keep in mind, but hopefully we can improve that as the weather warms up, and we'll insert a picture after our full week of testing on the screen right now. And let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, kick us off with the Slam Dunk.
For the Slam Dunk, we're going to say how much it really does well with the luxury mission. It's definitely focused on luxury, and it really had, I think, the RX right there in its crosshairs, and it certainly targeted it well and overall executed well.
Yeah. On the Airball side of things, what we are going to say is some of the tech is a little overwhelming. Tech overload, if you will. Yes, you do get used to it as time goes on. I don't think that'll be a problem for most people. Some people might not like it over time, but this week I haven't had a problem too much with the tech. However, certain things like when I want to adjust my fan and my, where it blows, I have to click, 3 different menus here, hit this tiny little arrow that I can't even hit right now, and I'm looking at it and I'm not driving. So just certain things like that, I feel like too much tech is certainly a bad thing, so I would prefer just a physical vent control. All right, but in conclusion, do we like it better, the same, or worse after living with this Nautilus for the week? I think this has definitely got to firmly land in the we like it better category. We originally sampled it out at a dealership, so we didn't have a ton of time with it. Living with this Nautilus for the week has really confirmed that this is an excellent new choice in this segment. I think they've really absolutely nailed a lot of things with it, and it's easy to see why it did win so many awards, honestly, after living with this vehicle. It is very competitive in a lot of different facets. And honestly, I do really just love the fact that it sticks to that single mission of being luxury focused through and through. So if you want a very comfortable luxury SUV, this Nautilus is pretty much for you. And now let's go ahead and talk pricing. As I said at the very beginning, you start at around $51,000 if you go for a very base model. Now, we have pretty much all the options without going for the fully loaded Black Label model. As you can see, we have the 2025 Reserve 3 model with the hybrid system. You can see there's the Reserve 3 package. We have the optional hybrid as well as the Jet Appearance package. All told, we're sitting at $1,595 destination, $72,810 as tested today. Now, if you're looking to buy a Lincoln Nautilus or any new vehicle, we would also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can help the dealers to start competing on price. We even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to check that out. Once again, you can find that in our video description, or we have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lincoln Nautilus potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 38% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 15.6%. Now, it is worth noting that is a very low resale value percentage. It's actually the second worst brand overall for resale value. So that's something worth noting. However, it's not drastically different from other German luxury brands such as Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. We also have updated this with the latest data available for 2025. In this regard, Lincoln still rates below the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, as far as Lincoln's warranty, we do have a pretty good one for a luxury brand. 4-year, 50,000 miles for basic. 6 years, 70,000 miles for your powertrain. You do get complimentary maintenance, but only if you choose the black label, and that is going to be for 4 years and 50,000 miles. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2025 Lincoln Nautilus. We, of course, enjoyed living with this vehicle for a full week. It's certainly a very interesting product. It was actually named Car of the Year last year by some outlets. So certainly it's a good vehicle to live with. And if you enjoyed hearing our 7-day impressions, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun content on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.